Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I'm so delighted to be with you all here this evening. It's been an interesting week and this great spring season. Spring has definitely sprung. If you are on the East Coast, where I am in the DMV area, then you know that it's definitely spring, which is my favorite time of the year, by the way. Um, and it's been an exciting time, I think, not just because it's the spring equinox, but we also had the holiday season with Ramadan, and it's just been a great time of new beginnings. We've had a lot of cosmic energies and things happening this year, and including the planetary alignment and the I think we're in eclipse season because in the month of March we actually had two of them. And so it's just been a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of downloads, a lot of changes taking place, and it's all for our highest good and it's for the better. So with that said, I want to say welcome this Wednesday evening, and I'm looking forward to tonight's live. And there's been, in addition to the changes, I plan to start back doing them regularly again because kind of took a brief hiatus, not intentionally, but life be life and sometime and things happen. So with that said, let's get into tonight's live, everyone. Peace and love. So tonight we're going to talk about how to conquer anxiety and stress. Yes, anxiety and stress. Both of those things sometimes overlap, and they are big issues that many people face. And even if you say you don't have issues with that, at some point in your life, you may or you have in the past. And they're both common issues that people face, but there are ways to deal with them in a healthy manner and learning. We can develop some coping skills and ways to combat both. Unfortunately, many people believe that stress is a normal part of life. I happen to not subscribe to that philosophy. I think stress is um, unnecessary, and I think it's something that happens that causes um negative feelings, negative reactions, and stress can sometimes be more acute than other times. I don't think that it's any such thing as healthy stress, as some people say. I think that there's different levels to it, and there's slight, and then it can be more acute or more extreme. And the reason why I say I don't believe it's healthy, because of the reaction it causes in the body, I think is not healthy, and I think it's not safe. And it can lead to a lot of other health challenges. And then anxiety is something that can also lead to a lot of issues and challenges. And these two things can be heavy and burdensome on a lot of us. And like I said, it can have negative impact and on our minds and our bodies and our spirits. And so we know that here on the Astral Healing Channel, we are striving to live in harmony, and we're also striving to have a healthy lifestyle and healthy behavior patterns as we go through this life's journey and our healing journeys. So with that said, let's talk about how stress and anxiety affect the body. So stress can cause you to have elevated blood pressure. It can also cause problems with organ functioning. It can also impair your thinking and decision making. And it can interrupt your digestion, because sometimes when people get stressed out, they either crave food or they lose their appetite and they may get sick to their stomach. So all of these are some of the ramifications of stress. And so with that said, we don't want to um, have those kind of experiences, because it, whatever's affecting the body will also affect the mind and the spirit, and it can have an impact on those around you and how you interact with others. And none of that is good. Excuse me. And so anxiety can have negative effect on the body. When your person's feeling anxious, they may have what feels like racing heartbeat. They may be sweating profusely. They may be crying hysterically when they have anxiety. They may have panic attack, or these feelings of this impending doom, or something's terrible is about to happen. Certain things will trigger anxiety, and some people will lose it. Some people have such an acute anxiety that it's impacting their daily lives. They're unable to function naturally and in a normal setting because of the high level of anxiety they have. I had a client years ago, um, may she rest in power. She had severe anxiety and she had asthma. And she would make appointments to come see me for, services, and then, well, the massage or whatever, healing. And then she would cancel sometime at the last minute of the day before because she had a bad anxiety attack, and she said it was really bad. And sometimes she would be in public when she would have these anxiety attacks, and her breathing would become constricted and she wouldn't be able to function. Like if she happened to be on the bus in public and she had one, sometimes they'll have to call the ambulance for her. Um, it was having such a detrimental effect on her that she had to start working part-time. And unfortunately, she passed away from an asthma attack, we were told. But the anxiety was really controlling her life. And as a person who has myself, who has also had bouts of anxiety in the past, and panic attacks, I know what it feels like. And it does make you feel like you're not in control. You feel your heart racing. Um, Sometimes your chest will hurt and you'll feel like you're having a heart attack, but it's not. It's the anxiety. It's this was triggering the emotions, and is having this reaction in your body. It also can affect your sleeping patterns. Some people who have anxiety, I know, take medication, and the medication makes them sleepy, but then when they don't take it, they're wide awake and they have insomnia. So and it can affect, like I said, your moods, how you interact with other people. You may, if you're someone that is anxiety ridden, you may have a hard time in crowds or in social settings, because the noise, being around a lot of people, may trigger it. um Sometimes, sudden noises or just different things, can trigger it. But the trigger is not the issue tonight. What we're talking about is how can you conquer it and learn to control these feelings and not allow them to control you. That's the important thing. Um, to be in control of how you're feeling and how you're navigating through situations, so that you are not feeling victimized or being controlled by the stress or anxiety or any other emotions for that matter. So like I said, stress can affect your moods. It can cause hormonal imbalances. It can cause digestive issues. It can cause pain in the body. Sometimes people have unexplained body aches and pains, and when they eliminate the thing that's causing the stress, the pains go away miraculously. So there is a connection between mind and body, very much so. And a lot of times the two complement each other, and the stress can have a devastating impact as well on your physical body. I think I mentioned in an earlier video, maybe last month or so, that I used to work with a lady who was going through a stressful time in her life, and she was going through a divorce, which was, not, it was a bit messy. But the years leading up to her divorce was messier, but it was messy and challenging for her and her family. And she said because of the high level of stress and turmoil she was going through, she all of her hair fell out. She said her hair was falling out in clumps. So that's another thing that can affect you. The stress can affect your just your overall physical health and condition. It can cause hair loss. It can cause weight gain, weight loss. It can cause acne flare ups. It can cause swelling and different things in the body, make your nails brittle, just different things. And uh, it can have, a very serious detrimental effect on your health. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not have healthy coping skills when it comes to stress and anxiety. And many people try to self medicate from these things or avoid them or indulge in other addictions, whether it's television or gambling or whatever, to combat these negative feelings and these negative emotions. So, there is a link between nutrition and your moods. Last month, March, was National Nutrition Month, and during um, I really think nutrition is a very important part of our life. I think we should have more emphasis on that, because nutrition is just the importance of what we consume and having a healthy lifestyle. So that's just one aspect of it, but it's a very important aspect because we need to be aware of what we're eating, be mindful of what we're eating, how often we're eating, and how healthy it is for our bodies. And a lot of people eat foods out of necessity, or unhealthy habits, or because of the foods may be culturally relevant but not necessarily good for you, or you may feel like you have limited options. And so a lot of times people have unhealthy relationships between food, and their nutrition may be compromised because of that. Many of us were forced to eat certain foods that we didn't like, or out of necessity. And those things can lead to unhealthy eating habits when we become adults, and eating disorders, anxiety around food. Many people have those things, and so those things can have a devastating impact as well on how you on your moods and how you manage stress and anxiety. Now, when I say there's a link between nutrition and moods, if you are in a fight or flight state, having PTSD, having anxiety, stressed out, whatever the emotion is, it impairs your digestive system. It kind of shuts it down, and it causes a chemical reaction in your body. And um, some people respond to that reaction in different ways. Some people seek what they call comfort foods to eat, or they may want something that's heavy or sweet, or whatever it is. They'll start craving in an effort to soothe their mind or to comfort their mind and their emotions and their spirit. And not sometimes those things are not healthy for us. And so a lot of us, when we are going through a difficult time, we will often neglect our nutrition and start eating things that's not good for us, or we avoid eating because we are upset or we overeat. All of these things will have an effect on your moods and how you feel. The food that you consume, um, and the water, of course. I got my water bottle right here. So the food and the things that you consume has an effect on how you feel, how you look, how you'll be behaving. All of that is impacted. And so if you're not eating or consuming the proper things and you're not getting your full nutritional values, then you will have your thinking will be impaired. You may not feel your best. And when people don't feel their best, they don't behave their best. And a lot of times they are just not functioning at their highest potential when they're not feeling well or when they're not nourished. And that's what our food should be doing. Not only should we don't eat just because something tastes good, but eat because it's good for you. We want to eat to live, not live to eat. And so many of us have these unhealthy, um, I hear a visitor coming. Many of us have unhealthy eating habits, and they have a devastating effect on our moods. If you are in a state and you are malnourished, whether it's due to health problems or whatever, malnutrition can lead to you not feeling well and not thinking well and not thinking straight, and you won't be at your best potential and at your best capacity. And a lot of times people who struggle with certain issues like excessive anger or depression or some other emotions, negative emotions, they oftentimes don't have um, the best eating habits. And also people who have things like anemia, which is a mineral deficiency, or other mineral deficiency and vitamin deficiencies, a lot of times they too won't feel well, won't be in the best of moods, won't be they won't have the strength and the fortitude to get through some difficult situations, or to be able to manage stress, or to manage how they're feeling, or when adverse things happen, they won't be able to cope with them and manage because they're lacking in their nutrition. They're lacking, in some way they have deficiencies. And so to avoid those deficiencies, that's why we need to make sure that we eat well and nourish ourselves, stay hydrated. Being dehydrated can cause impaired thinking. It can cause dizziness, cause people to be disoriented. um, all of that is really important. It's important that we nourish ourselves, we do our self-care internally and externally, and how we care for ourselves and how we nourish ourselves, and making sure that we get the proper nutrients that we need, which is our fuel that helps feed the brain and helps you cope with things better. So a person that's hungry, you hear the term hangry, like hungry and angry. A lot of those people that struggle with that, um, there's vitamin deficiencies that they have. Maybe their sugar levels are imbalanced. Maybe their blood pressure is imbalanced. Maybe they have some other mineral deficiencies, and so they need food to balance themselves and to help them to feel better and to elevate their mood. So if you are someone that's struggling with stress, it's struggling with stress and anxiety, make sure that you're eating proper. Make sure you're eating proper. Don't Also make sure you're eating at the right times. Don't be the person that's, you know, eating at random times, or eating in a hurry. Take your time. Be mindful of, take your time to enjoy your meal, ingest it properly, allow the food to digest. Don't eat in a hurry or when you're under duress, because that also is counterproductive. And if you are struggling, like I said, with negative emotions, make sure that you're eating the proper things. Focus more on the things that are nutrient dense, like the fruits, the vegetables, the whole grains. Make sure you take supplements if needed. Don't forget to take, um, supplements, things like sea moss, which are really great superfoods to help um, keep you healthy, help boost your immunity, and help feed and fortify the brain. So all of those things are necessary to help you combat and face stressful situations when they come up. Um, Another thing that's helpful is mastery of the mind, having positive thinking. Now, I naturally was not a positive thinker. It was quite the opposite once upon a time. But through the healing journey, I have learned that you have to master your thoughts. If you don't control anything else around you, you make sure you control how you feel, control your thoughts, control your thinking. And it's very essential that you do that. Um, there's many ways to have mastery over the mind, and why that's important is when you face situations that will trigger you, or situations that will feel stressful or that can trigger and cause anxiety, you make sure that you have mastery over your thoughts and that you're not being unnecessarily triggered by someone else. And this when you have a positive outlook or practice positive thinking, you see the world so much differently versus a person that is thinking negative, because the negative person always sees what's wrong, and they have like sometimes like a woe is me, things always happen, etc., whatever the negative self-talk is. But when you are a positive thinker, you know that these are just experiences. This too shall pass. It's going to come and go. It's not as bad as you think it is. um, all of that is efforts to help you master the mind. And self mastery is essential when it comes to handling stressful situations and fighting anxiety, because anxiety can be really detrimental. And if you're a master of your thoughts and what you're thinking, you can control how you're feeling, and so you won't be as easily triggered as someone is who succumbs to negative thinking all the time. So practice mastery over your mind. Think carefully and rationally through a situation. A bad situation may come up, or an adverse, let's use the right language, an adverse situation or experience may come up. Use the positive thinking to help you navigate your way through it, instead of succumbing to thinking sadness or grief or turmoil. Look at the positive side of it, and what positive outcome this situation can have. And if you are not clear on what that positive outcome will be, do some quiet time to yourself and some self-reflection, and talk yourself or through the situation to a positive outcome. All right. Another thing with mastering the mind is protecting your mind from negative outside influences that is competing for your mind and your energy. We talked about spiritual warfare in my last live, and how the war is for your mind, and we're constantly surrounded by all kinds of different stimuli and different ways of thinking and ideas and what's the word? Just all kinds of things that we are bombarded with on and inundated with on a daily basis. The news media, the social media, the group think, other people interjecting their thoughts and beliefs and sharing opinions that you may not necessarily care to hear or ask for. Even, some people just feel the need to just tell you how they feel and what whatever. And those things can have an impact on you and make you feel some kind of way and cause stress and trigger anxiety. So protect your mind at all times from negative outside influences, whether it's people, places, things, ideologies. um you know there's a lot of things happening in the the political world right now. We're in a new presidential administration, and a lot of people have different feelings about that. And I notice when I'm out and about or listening to traffic and weather on the radio, that seems to be a hot topic. And it seems like I can't escape that topic as much as I want to, even when I'm teaching yoga sometimes to some of my students, and we do a check-in, and the topic comes up, so politics. And normally politics is something that I try not to talk about, but a lot it's a hot topic, and people will ask you your opinion, express theirs, etc., whatever. So when it comes to dealing with things like that, you have to remember that you have mastery over your mind. Do not let other people impose fear-based ideas onto you or project their feelings onto you. And a lot of times, people who are empathic or sensitive, a lot we'll feel and what the other people are feeling, or will sometimes over sympathize with them. But you can listen to people politely, and you don't have to agree with what they are saying, and you don't have to subscribe to their belief system. If they are feeling full of fear and afraid and trying to project that onto you, remember that you have the power to redirect that energy and lift the conversation to a higher level. If that doesn't work, then you can end that conversation, change the subject. There's many polite ways to end some negative thinking, some negative talking, by changing the subject, talking about something lighter, something happier, something more pleasant. And there are times when you have to be the light in the darkness, and you have to be the light bearer, and the one that's bringing the joy and the happiness and the peace. And sometimes that's what people are looking for when they're speaking negative or saying things to you. Is not necessarily they're speaking from a place of pain, or they want to hurt another person or impose fear or on you, but it's just that this is what they're feeling, this is what they're emanating. And so you have the power to redirect that attention sometime, and not allow the negative things to compete for your energy. One of the reasons that I do not listen to major radio stations anymore and just focus on traffic and weather is because there were so many different things bombarding me when I used to listen to it. And you got all these thoughts, all these opinions, and everybody's saying all these things, and you're hearing conflicting reports. So just to keep my mind at peace, I just don't listen to it. And the same is true for a lot of us who do choose not to watch television, because the negative imagery can be disruptive. And there's times where you're praying or meditating or trying to sleep, and these thoughts and these images will start reverberating in your mind. And once the eyes see it and the ears hear it, is there. And so you have to be in control of that, in control of what you see, what you hear, as much as you possibly can. And we do have a choice in some matters, and it's up to us what we determine what we determine that we're going to be involved in when it comes to what we're consuming with the eyes and what we're listening to and what we allow ourselves to be influenced by. So, so keep that in mind all the time. What are you being influenced by? And are these influences positive or negative? All right. Another thing we can do to help conquer anxiety and stress is maintain your calm at all times. I had to write that down and put it on the wall one time in a place where I used to work because stressful situations used to pop up all the time. And I wasn't the best at like maintaining calm and thinking through situations. I would usually have anxiety or be worried about something. And so one day I was like, you stressing yourself out. You have to maintain your calm at all times. In fact, that was a quote that I saw somewhere. So I wrote it down and I put it on the wall to remind myself, whenever situations come up, maintain your calm. Maintain your calm. You can't control what's happening around you, but you can control you and your reactions. So maintaining your calm will help you manage stress and anxiety. When things come up, instead of erupting in anger or anxiety or panic attacks or whatever, remain calm. When you're calm, you make better decisions. When you're calm, you can think rationally. If the situation is so adverse and you need to remove yourself from that situation so that you can think straight, then do that. But to react and say things or do things from place of a reactionary place or standpoint can lead to a lot of problems later. It can be a situation where you may say something or do something on impulse that can get you in trouble, ruin friendships, ruin relationships. There's a reaction to everything. And so you want to have the positive reactions and the positive results by doing the positive right things and just making a better decision from a place of calm and not from a place of fear or anxiety or a place of panic. So remember that, maintain your calm even if you have to remove yourself from stressful situations. You maintain your calm at all times. So remember, you are like the eye in the storm. You're guiding the storm. The storm is all around you, but you're in the center of it and you are in control. um Another thing that will help you conquer stress and anxiety is, and I can't say this enough or stress this enough, is have a daily spiritual practice to help you combat stress and anxiety. Have a daily spiritual practice, whether it's praying, meditation, chanting, zikr, decrees, affirmations, um, whatever it is that you do, reading scripture, whatever. Have a daily spiritual practice all day long. We got 24 hours in a day, and we have hours, devoted to work, play, some self-care, I hope, and so many other things. We, use a lot of our day and our time to help other people, care for our families, all our duties and responsibilities. All of that is great and essential, but please, please, please make sure that you have some time for yourself to do some type of spiritual practice. Just like the physical body needs its food and water, the spirit needs its prayers, its meditations, whatever it is that you do on a daily basis that resonates with your soul and makes you feel empowered, makes you feel well, makes you feel grounded and balanced, that helps you with healing, whatever it is. I can recommend a lot of them, but you have to find what resonates with you and what helps you feel better and elevated. That's the whole purpose of the spiritual practices. If you're someone that doesn't have one, please adopt one. Adopt something. I recommend starting your day with a spiritual practice and ending your day with a spiritual practice. I do, because having one in the rising when you get up and starting your day off with it helps set your the tone of your day, helps fortify you. It's almost like, like it's better than, it's like akin to breakfast. It fortifies you and helps you get through the day and the situations that come up and how to handle them. And then in the evenings, when you are slowing down, it's good to have something to end your day peacefully the same way you started your day. Now, that may not work for everybody's schedule, but you have to find what does work for you, what does resonate with you, and what's best for you and your lifestyle. Whatever you find the best spiritual practice for you. And all spiritual, well, as far as I know, all spiritual practices, the, um, the positive ones, have lots of advice for people and guidance is a better word than advice. It has the guidance that people need when it comes to dealing with difficult situations. A lot of the stories in the scriptures are stories that give us guidance and the proper example of how to handle difficult situations and difficult people, and how to just handle the storms of life. You think about what the character in the stories or the allegories, what did they do and how did they deal with it? And that will give you the guidance that you offer you guidance. Also, it just gives you something, a moral compass to live by, to help you with um, the mental chatter and how you're thinking and how you're feeling and how you respond to certain situations that can trigger stress or trigger anxiety. So those things are very, very important when it comes to helping you to handle stressful situations and things that can trigger anxiety. Eliminate another thing, eliminate negative mind talk, too much overthinking in a negative way. It's okay to overthink and brainstorming, but if you're doing a lot of negative mind talk to yourself and you're inside your head thinking negative, this can cause you to have stress and anxiety. Sometimes when you're talking to people who have a lot of issues with anxiety, or they're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, when you listen to them, or you help them talk through it, they realize it's not as bad as they thought it was, but it was what was going on inside their head, what they were thinking, what they were repeating to themselves was making them feel more stressed, more anxious, more angry. The panic attack was getting worse and worse. But once they focused their mind on something else or had a mindfulness practice, they began to de-escalate the situation. They began to feel better, feel empowered. And so eliminating negative mind talk is very, very important. I should have made that number one, but that is very important when it comes to conquering anxiety and stress. Part of eliminating negative mind talk is also you have to eliminate negative people from your life. You cannot heal in an environment that has made you sick. So if you are trying to heal your mind and eliminate stress and anxiety, if you are around someone all the time that's triggering the stress and the anxiety, you really, really need to distance yourself from that person in that situation. I hear little family member in the background. So if I turn the camera off, it's because he may run into the room. And if you all watching my last live, then you know what I'm talking about. He's okay. He's not coming in. He likes to run in the room and squeal and play. And yes, so eliminating negative people and mind talk, that is essential. And a lot of times the negative mind thought talk that we have and the negative thoughts that are running through our heads, sometimes family, they're not even our thoughts. It's the thoughts of someone else, or it's the words of someone else. Like when we talked about people being abusive and saying a lot of things towards you, and then you start to believe those negative things. You start to believe, like, let's say if someone raised you and told you, you know, you won't amount to anything, you'll never be anything, just like your no good mom or dad or whatever, and you grow up thinking this and you're hearing it all the time, and you start to repeat it to yourself and you start to believe it, you know, that's saying, as a man thinketh, so is he. So you start to think the negative things that people have said about you that are not true, because that is not the essence of who you are. And you start to think that way and start to take on those behaviors and start to act out what you're thinking and the behaviors you may have been conditioned to believe. You know, you may have been conditioned to believe that you have a lot of limitations because of your gender, because of your lifestyle orientation, you know, your age, you know, how you look, your weight, whatever. You know, people will say all kinds of things to you. And sometimes we believe these things and we internalize these negative things that others have said or tried to condition us to believe or brainwash us to believe, or threaten us into believing, or whatever the case may be. And all of those things are not healthy for us, not safe for us, not good for us at all. And these so be mindful of the mind talk that you're repeating inside your head. Are these your thoughts? Are they the thoughts of someone else? Are they the belief system BS that someone else has imposed on you? Or is it true? Look at it. You know, if you've been told, you know, you wouldn't amount to anything, or you may be a failure, whatever it is that you find yourself repeating to yourself or thinking, or if you thinking you can't handle something, it's too much, it's just overwhelming, I can't, you know, all those things that we think in our heads and we repeat to ourselves. And you know, your body is listening, you know, just like Dr. What is that book? Dr. Emoto's book about how you can speak words into water. And then the experiment, the book that was based on the experiment where that doctor spoke over water, and he even had people show pictures to glasses of water, and the water was frozen, and then the water formed different beautiful crystals based on what was said to it. And so with that knowledge, you know that words can speak life over you, and words can also do the opposite and be detrimental, and can literally curse, right? When you are saying things that are negative, you know, you can empower or you can harm with the words that you say and the thoughts that you think, because your thoughts are just words in your mind. You know, your thoughts condition your words and how you feel and what you think. So remember that, what you're thinking. Be mindful. If you're just thinking random thoughts and you be like, I don't even know what I'm saying, that's a problem. Think about what you're thinking. Think about what you're saying. Are these thoughts yours? Is it the mind of someone else? Is it the mind of the, you know, the group think around you that's a contaminant, that's got you thinking and feeling some kind of way that's, you know, based on fear and negative emotions, anger? Are you angry for no apparent reason? Are you confused? All these things. What is it that you're feeling and why? What are you saying to yourself and why? Does it make sense? Is it true? Stop telling yourself the negative things that others have told you or have tried to impose on you. You have to take mastery. Part of that mastery of the mind is taking control of your thoughts and not letting other people impose their thoughts, their limiting belief systems, their nonsense, or their feelings and inadequacies, maybe even jealousies or whatever it is, their narcissistic beliefs, whatever. Don't allow that to become your mind talk. Okay? So eliminate the negative mind talk and eliminate the negative people, the naysayers, the people that are rabble rousers and always got something negative to say. Haters gonna hate, and there's no place for that in your mind and in your life, because you want to emanate a life of abundance and joy and happiness and good health and freedom and justice. And you can't do those things if you are weighed down by someone else's negative thoughts and belief systems. So keep that in mind. And another thing that's very, very essential when it comes to conquering stress and anxiety is spend as much time in nature as possible. Yes. And I'm not going in order of importance, I was just, but spend time in nature. Being outside in nature helps keep you grounded. It helps recharge you. It helps replenish you. It helps you feel alive again. It helps eliminate stressful feelings. It helps balance hormones and reduce the stress hormones like cortisol. There's research done that people with different types of mental disorders and poor mental health, when they spend time in nature every day, it actually helps reverse those conditions, and it reverse and rewires the way the brain handles stress. So keep that in mind. A lot of times when people are telling me that they are having depression or other issues and they're not well, I will ask, well, when was the last time you had a beach day? Or when was the last time you spent some time in nature? Like, do you ever go to the park? Do you go to mountains? Do you go out for walks, jogs? When last time you just sat outside and, took your shoes off and did some earthing, some grounding, try those things. And a lot of people will oftentimes tell me I haven't done those things. And then when they start doing them, they see that they actually do feel better and less stressed. Being upset about anything, if you go outside, hug a tree, touch some grass, look at the flowers, watch the birds and the squirrels, feed the pigeons, you know, go I don't know, go to the aquarium and talk to the dolphins or something, whatever. Anytime you spend some time in nature, you always, I can guarantee, will feel better. There's something really healing about the natural world, which is why many cities have parks. This is why people congregate to places like that, because we are, as natural beings, we need to be recharged by nature. We need the energy and the balance that the trees and the plants and the flora and fauna um, offer and give off. And and be mindful of that, but be mindful of the energy you're bringing to the natural world. The next time you go out in nature, think about, what are you bringing to the natural world? And if you're leaving something behind, come to nature with a pure heart and bring and release whatever you're releasing. Make sure that you do some kind of just an even exchange. So if you are, oftentimes when I go out for a walk or if I go out for ceremony or just to meditate, like I like to meditate outside sometimes, I might leave a little offering or just be mindful of what energy I'm taking outside. And I think we should be cognizant and aware of that, just like we how we interact with one another, we should be mindful of how we're interacting with the natural world. But no less than that, please spend time in nature. Um, Take up a hobby or do something that you can enjoy doing outside, like have a beach day, have a outside day, take up a sport you can do outside, take up gardening, whether it's growing vegetables and herbs or flowers or whatever you want to do, but that is um do some things that you can do outside or in a natural setting, whatever, go kayaking, go canoeing, go mountain climbing, water rafting, play outside, paint outside, whatever it is that you want to do those things, because I guarantee it will help you to feel a lot better. Um, and with that said, a lot of people who suffer from anxiety and stress, a lot of times they feel that they need something else to help alleviate that stress. Like they'll get a emotional support, emotional support animal, um, or they feel that they need some meds or some substances or something, or even exercise. Um, Things outside of themselves. But I want you to think about what we talked about tonight and how you can do some things and do some lifestyle changes so that you are in control of how you're feeling, and you don't have to rely on someone else or something else all the time to help you feel better, to help you feel grounded, that the power is within you. And last but not least, please, some kind of movement. Movement is medicine. Movement is medicine. So that movement can be exercise, it can be, yoga, tai chi, sports, um, walking, horseback riding, whatever it is that you find fun and can get your body moving. Dancing is a great way to eliminate stress. I recommend anything that you can do that is movement and that can keep you moving, keep you active, keep your body healthy, help sweat out the toxins, help you to release stress and the stress hormones, and help balance it with happier feelings. I recommend doing it, whatever it is, whether it's dancing, jogging, taking your pet for a walk, doing fun things with others. Movement is medicine, and not only does it help you eliminate and reduce the stressful hormones, it helps you feel better, more energized, helps improve your circulation, helps improve your thinking. And yeah, so all of that are some things that I recommend to help you with conquering anxiety and stress. And each and everything that I recommended today, I have tried and done my own self. And occasionally have to go back and remind myself, because dealing with life, we all, even myself, sometimes have to struggle with stressful situations and things that can cause anxiety and other feelings. And so we have to look at them as, experiences. They come and they go, and then remind ourselves, like years ago you may have had another adverse situation, you really didn't know how you were going to get through it, but you got through it. And just go back and think about it and reflect on, what did you do, what did you use to help you get through another situation. um, can those same methods be used and pulled upon to help you through any current situations. Remember the power is within you, the mastery of yourself, the mastery of your mind is within you. And with that said, family, I want to end tonight's live. Remember, we have inherited a lot of unhealthy habits from the past, so go easy on yourself. You are clearing thousands of years of outdated conditioning. And with that said, I would like to hear from you. Share with me some of your thoughts and um, in the comment section. And I look forward to speaking with you all next time, next week. Stay safe. Peace and love, everyone.